What's up, everybody? It's Jared with Capture the Magic. And when it comes to Disney Imagineering, there's been lots of questions over the years in terms of the quality of the attractions and things that they produce. And you've seen a lot of talent leave Imagineering, a lot of it heading over to Universal Creative in many cases. But it seems recently that Disney might be putting more of a focus on Imagineering. And this story popped up, and I thought it was kind of interesting. And this is from WDWNT. Then we have another thing we're going to look at from Twitter X, which is former Imagineer Jason Surrell returns to Disney as creative consultant. Surrell was a senior show writer, creative director, and show producer for Walt Disney Imagineering from 1999 to 2014. He worked on development of New Fantasyland and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. His attraction credits include Star Tours, The Adventures Continue, Great Movie Ride, Walt Disney, One Man's Dream, The Legend of Captain Jack Sparrow, and The Magic of Disney Animation. He also worked on enhancements to Pirates of the Caribbean and The Haunted Mansion and limited Star Wars weekend experiences, Disney Cruise Line, and Disney Vacation Club. It says, as of August 2025, Surrell is a creative consultant for Walt Disney Imagineering, responsible for creating, developing, and writing show concepts, storylines, and scripts, is what it says on his LinkedIn page. It says, in the intervening 10 years, Surrell worked for Universal Creative as a creative director. He had worked for Universal prior to his time with Imagineering, including as a show writer for Halloween Horror Nights. So you look at that, and then as well, Drew Smith on Twitter X said that Bruce Vaughn says Josh D'Amaro is why former Imagineers have returned as advisors to Walt Disney Imagineering. He said, quote, let's bring them back under some sort of advisory thing and make sure they mentor. The wisdom is super important. And as well, Eddie Soto, who's a former Imagineer as well, said, I'd actually say Bruce is and has been very behind bringing those folks back. He says, go Bruce. I think when you're talking about Imagineering, I think that's one of the biggest question marks. I mean, outside of you talking about, the price hikes that have been talked about and the changes in the parks, but one of the things that people have been pointing to with a lot of question marks, you talk about the Epcot overhaul, you talk about the Haunted Mansion gift shop out in Disneyland. There's been a lot of things that I just don't think are up to the at least traditional or historical quality that Disney Imagineering has done. And to see Josh D'Amaro sort of seemingly headlining this as trying to bring in some of these former Imagineers to mentor current Imagineers, I think is a good thing. And given as well that Josh D'Amaro is very likely, at least at this point it seems, to be the next Disney CEO, I think that potentially could be promising, especially with the things that Disney is currently going to be building. Now, I don't know as to what impact people coming in, these former Imagineers coming in to mentor these people now would have an effect on those lands. But I think anytime you're able to share wisdom that has been from Imagineers that have been able to produce things they produced historically, I don't think is a bad thing. And it could be sort of an indication that Josh D'Amaro and Disney themselves kind of understand there has been a fall off in the quality of Imagineering. And I think a lot of that could be just due to the wisdom has not been passed down, maybe like it has in the past. But I think if you're looking at Josh D'Amaro being the next Disney CEO, I think this is a fairly positive thing to maybe read into this. I say maybe read into this, that there could be more of a focus on Imagineering. And, I've said many times, you talk about the Disney parks, a lot of people have been very unhappy with Josh D'Amaro and the Disney park changes, although they have made more money in the parks. You talk about taking away Magical Express, you talk about charging for fast passes now, like all the things that have been talked about, the price hikes and things, the changes in Disney parks. How much of that has been Josh D'Amaro or how much of that has been Jeff Vail, Bob Iger? Like, it's hard to know how much of the park changes are simply due to Josh D'Amaro. But if it seems like he's really trying to, bolster Imagineering, if he does become the next Disney CEO, that potentially could be a good thing for the parks, looking at somebody who obviously would have a lot of parks experience. And I think one reason why D'Amaro is probably the front runner when it comes to the Disney CEO is the fact that the parks are the biggest segment of making money for the Disney company are the Disney parks. So I think they may be looking at that. People have been talking about Imagineering needs to get back to the way it used to run things and get to the quality back where it was. Like, this would be one way you would do that. And I'm not super familiar with Jason Surrell, but if you're able to get a top tier Imagineer back that was working for your biggest competitor, as in the past we've seen kind of Universal poaching Imagineers to come over to Universal. This is kind of the first one I remember in a little bit that we've kind of see the inverse here. And maybe Disney is throwing some extra money around, trying to lure some of these creative types back over to Disney. is potentially what's going on here. And I think bringing in talented people to advise Imagineering is good, but I still contend at the end of the day, Disney needs to back this up with not cutting budgets on these projects that they're building and really putting in the quality and the things that need to go into these. So, and I've also said many times, I don't know where, when you talk about current Imagineering, how much of it is that there's not the visionaries and the talented people that were Imagineering before. Is it that issue that they don't have the talent, or is it more of the C-suite, Bob Iger, Jeff Vail, maybe Josh D'Amaro, overriding many times of what they're going to be putting into the parks? As we've seen Disney kind of do this as a company across the board. We've seen it in the movie side of things, where you have executives much more involved with the movie making process, many times not leading to the best results for that. You very well could see a lot more of this C-suite sort of meddling in the things coming to the parks and really undercutting the creativity that could be coming from Imagineering. Because I think historically, Disney has always let the Imagineers kind of be creative, like, try different things, take risks, take chances. And many times recently, Disney, obviously things are being very, IP heavy, but maybe not wanting to take as many risks, and for therefore not letting Imagineering really, be as creative as they could be. So it's hard to know really where all this, the fault, I guess, would lie. Is it mostly on the C-suite? Is it on Imagineering? Is it on D'Amaro? Like, these are things we don't know. We can obviously speculate on these things. But if D'Amaro is making it an initiative to bring back these former Imagineers, I do think that's a promising sign. There's other things that obviously need to happen to make sure the projects that are being built are up to the standards that Disney has, done for decades. And I've said many times, Disney has set the standard of what people expect from theme park, experiences. And in recent history, in my opinion, many times they've fallen short of that. And I think if you're looking at that and understanding that there has been a fall off, this would be a move that you would make, as there is a lot of pressure on the things that Disney is currently building in Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. Obviously, they have more competition from Universal and Epic Universe. And so there's a lot of things riding on the things that they're currently building. And basically, I mean, if you really look at it, like, they really can't miss on these things. They really need to nail these things, hit home runs to really try and drive up attendance even more, as they're going to continue to battle with Universal and how aggressive they're being. I think, if anything, it's a positive anytime you have former Imagineers coming in, at least advising and at least sharing the wisdom that they have. And hopefully this is something that D'Amaro is very serious about. And if he becomes the CEO, you could see much more of a focus and really have total control over Imagineering, what they would do. So I guess this could be potentially a little bit of a foreshadowing of, if D'Amaro becomes CEO, perhaps we see more of a focus go back into Imagineering and the theme parks. And very curious how he would run the company compared to, say, Bob Iger. Obviously, Iger has liked to make a lot of deals. I don't think that Bob Iger has been great for the theme parks necessarily. He's made, he's helped them make a lot more money, as has Josh D'Amaro. But I think when you're talking about the overall guest satisfaction, I don't think it's as high as it has been historically. So I'm very curious as to, if D'Amaro does become the CEO, he's going to want to make his name. What is his focus going to be? What are his initiatives going to be? And very well could be a little bit of a foreshadowing of it. Could be involving Imagineering and kind of getting Disney back to perhaps how they used to run the parks. And obviously, I think this is yet another sign that they're kind of responding to the increased competition, seeing what Universal's been doing. And obviously, it was reported D'Amaro and the Disney executives have been over to Epic Universe and seen all that. So they're very aware of what Universal has been doing, what Epic Universe has done there. And one would also assume they understand the stakes of the things that they're currently building. But I thought that was interesting. And I suppose if you're hoping for Disney to have get back to what they were doing before, back in the day, this could be a glimmer of hope in that direction. But either way, that's going to be it, though, for this video. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel, as we do all its coverage here of Universal Studios, Epic Universe, Disney World, and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, what do you think about some former Imagineers coming in to consult with Walt Disney Imagineering? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.